I am the law. Don't you understand? I represent the law.
Well, piss on you. And piss on your law.
Oh, what do you feel like doing tonight?
I don't know, Ange. What do you feel like doing?
Welcome to The Importance of Being Earnest. I'm your host, Paul.
I'm Mark.
And we have two special guests with us tonight. Gentlemen, care to introduce yourselves?
I'm Steve Vincent over.
And I'm Mike.
Let's go over. Oh.
I'm not Breaker one. Repeat that for me, please.
All right, so tonight, it's kind of a special night. You know Mike from the Return of the Son of the Show. Steve here is my co-host on the Don't Panic radio show. And since we all got together, it's the first time these two in the middle have been in the same room in well over 2 decades. So, since it is such a special occasion, I thought it would be fun to talk about the greatest movie in American cinema.
Citizen Kane?
Oh, man.
Escape from New York.
Oh. Convoy.
Das sind die neuen Helden Amerikas, die Giganten der Landstraße, die riesigen Überlandtransporter. Was früher die Cowboys mit ihren Pferden waren, das sind heute die Männer in ihren gewaltigen Trucks. Sie sind immer unterwegs, aber sie sind ihre eigenen Herren und haben ihre eigenen Gesetze. Sie können ein Stück ihres Weges mitfahren. In dem Film der neuen Konstantin, Convoy.
I take a bit of criticism with this movie. Because like I said, it is the greatest movie in American cinema. Because it's what happens when you take the greatest director in American cinema,
Sam Peckinpah.
Oscar winner Ernest Borgnine,
Yes.
one of the greatest singer-songwriters in American history,
Chris Christopherson.
and whatever that hairpiece is that Alan McGraw is wearing.
Right. And the deadest of love story actresses.
Convoy means never having to say you're sorry.
That's right.
All right, so guys, what do you think of Convoy?
I don't know where to start. It's just, I mean, I remember watching movies like this when I was, younger. I remember the big trucker craze back then. And I had a cousin who was a group of cousins that were all into that kind of stuff, wearing the cowboy hats and all that.
Did they have handles?
No, not that I know. Maybe they did.
Just on their bikes.
I traded in my CB handle for love handles.
Yeah. I remember. Anyway, so I remember my mom coming up with a CB handle for herself, even though she didn't have it.
Okay, what was it?
It was Christmas Carol.
Nice. Her name was
Christmas?
Her name is Carol, and her birthday is tomorrow.
Oh,
In fact, it's tomorrow.
That's too much thought
Wow.
Yeah.
into a CB handle.
I don't know what my
There's
CB handle.
Christmas Carol out there. You have yours.
But anyway, this is the first time I've seen this movie. I really have no idea what it was about. Like, what was their what was their goal? What was their cause?
They didn't have one. That's the thing of it. The thing is, and something that I meant to mention earlier when I was counting down why this movie's so great, they didn't have a cause. The politicians made it into a cause because they saw an opportunity for it. There was no cause. They just wanted to get there from point A to point B.
I think anything worth thinking is worth overthinking. So,
This is
overthink this a little bit.
Okay.
And at the risk of annoying the host, I think there was a cause. Because at one point, Chris Christopherson, affectionately known as Brother Rubber, said, the purpose of a convoy is to keep moving.
True.
And so while there wasn't like a purpose, like, raise the, end the war somewhere or lower the drinking age or something, his thing was we got to keep moving and we got to keep making progress. And we're too stagnant here. And I think the 70s this is the part where I just started making shit up. I think oh wait, can we say bad words on this show?
Well, we can now.
I can always edit it out.
Yeah.
In post production.
So you don't say too
We'll
many.
bleep you.
Don't tell Paul who was that.
Bleep.
Bleep. The 70s were a time of transition, right? And so I think it is keep moving forward. Now everybody had their own individual what moving forward meant to them. And then what's her name with the hair says, "You're their leader," and he says, "Hey, I'm not the leader. I'm just the guy in front."
Yeah, you go on down to that line pretty solid.
I like it because I see myself in Rubber Duck, even though I always had to play Big Ben, who I learned tonight for the first time. It's actually Big Ben. Because I'm not real sure I have a cause, but I'll help anybody who has a cause that I agree with. And whatever you need me to do, if you need me to be out in front, I'll be out in front. If you need me to be behind, I'll be behind. Whatever you need.
Do you see the power of this movie?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems to me that I don't know, things just sort of happened inadvertently that led them into this. And I mean, the Ernest Borgnine character started hassling the black guy for no reason.
Well, I mean,
racism.
other than being racist, yes.
Yeah. And threatening him to put him in jail and all that. And that caused a big fight to break out. Yeah, no one ever really seemed concerned about the consequences of what they were doing.
I'm reminded of the very recently relevant phrase, "You may not be interested in politics, but politics is interesting." All these guys wanted to do was drive their trucks, get their loads to wherever the load was going, stop off for some food or whatever. They weren't interested in picking a fight with the cops.
No.
The cops were interested in picking a fight with them.
Yeah, but why?
Why were the cops interested in picking a fight?
Yeah, I mean, the truck drivers were cast in the role of sort of like the Robin Hood.
Yeah. Lawlessness.
Right.
Newfangled.
But why? I mean, why would that necessarily? I mean, was that just the way it was in the 70s? Like people thought of truck drivers that way?
Well, they were I mean, one of the lines in the movie, and I'm sure Peck and Paul purposely had it in there, is they're the new cowboys. So they're, instead of driving cattle across the prairie, they're driving their semis across America.
Yeah.
So I think the implication was they were the new cowboys.
Yeah, because back in the day, that's what truckers were basically the modern day cowboy.
Yeah.
That's why outlaw country was so big.
I think I don't know. Maybe this is what you're getting at. But all right. Let me say this because I'm going to upset the host.
Okay.
Why am I the host?
Because you're the. You said you were
upset the host.
Oh,
the show.
It's a terrible movie. Hold on. It's a terrible. Hold on. Not because of itself. For me, the problem is the tone. The first half doesn't match. The first third doesn't match the tone of the middle. Doesn't match the tone of the end. It's like 3 movies in one, and it can't figure out what movie it wants to be. Either that, or it's because there's been so many other movies like it. Part of it ruins the movie for me. So, for example, the BJ and the Bear aspects of it, like bring down the social commentary aspect of it. Yeah. It would be like putting in the Three Amigos. There'd be Three Amigos scenes in the Wild Bunch. It would be like putting that in there, like injecting that.
Yeah,
because it's the Dukes of Hazzard. It's the whole, it's just all the kinds
Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah, and so it's because it's got that feel to it in the first third of it, and maybe that's the point. It starts off fun, and they're just kind of messing with the cops and then it becomes too serious. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, for part of it, I think, I don't know.
See, it's like what I told my kids when they were in the grades where you start reading like Romeo and Juliet and stuff like that. And they're just like, they can't, it's just so lame because they've read it before.
Yeah.
See, that's what, so
maybe that's what it is.
Convoy is like Shakespeare.
Oh my God, no.
Oh, this may be unrelated to the point you were making, but what you were saying reminded me of something. And we had mentioned a future version of Convoy called Kanye.
yes. Yeah.
And if you forget about who Kanye has been for the past 3 or 4 years, right? And remember him when he was being called a genius and all this, right? He truly did break ground in terms of music and hip hop and stuff. And a lot of people's criticism is like, yeah, but I've heard it all before. And then you go, okay, look up the date of release on the ones that you say I've heard it all before. Then look up the date of release of his music that sounds like it. He was 10 years before the ones you've heard.
Yeah.
So like Convoy was the first of a genre. So like BJ and the Bear, Smokey and the Bandit, and all those were like imitations of Convoy.
Rewind, those all came first.
Which ones came first?
BJ and the Bear was and Smokey and the Bandit were before this.
Okay, if I make a fool. That's part of the fun. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I got my phone.
This came on the tail end of.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's
think. Hold on.
funny.
Let's verify. Smokey the Bandit. Let's look up Smokey the Bandit.
That's probably a good one to look up.
78. So 1 year difference. So literally being made at the same time.
Well, I six
So but no, not really, because they're almost simultaneous. So
my whole point though goes.
That's true.
My whole point is garbage.
Sorry.
Don't listen to anything else I say.
No, I just. Man.
No, you don't have to apologize. I'm the one that was wrong.
No, I
if
know,
you had been wrong, you could apologize.
Right.
I was the wrong one, and I'm not going to apologize.
I don't think it matters which one came first. I mean, that was a time period when those types of movies were being made. I mean, there's tons of movies like that, like the car chase. What's important is they all inspired the Blues Brothers.
They're driving the cops off the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's really
I hate the Illinois Nazis.
Yeah.
What was that movie with the motorcycle guys in the was it Robert Redford?
Easy Rider?
Easy Rider.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. Yeah.
So
I would say Easy Rider's the grandfather of all these.
It's a similar vibe, right?
Yeah.
Because you got the bikers, they represent freedom, in some ways progress, and like really true spirit of what we used to think of as America.
Yeah.
Freedom, individualism, and all that. And the cops represent reactionary. No, we've got to be. We need to go back to white utopia 1950s.
Yeah.
And so that's what I thought that the truckers represented was a progress, keep moving forward, and the cops representing no, we need to rein it back in.
Before anybody comes at you in the comments, Peter Fonda.
Peter Fonda.
Yeah, not Robert.
This
Peter Fonda.
This is the episode where I make a complete idiot out of myself.
We'll just dub it in.
We're gonna end it.
If you enjoy watching me act stupid, you'll really like our other show.
Links down below.
Well, I get maybe that's my problem. Is if it were serious, it just doesn't work for me that in a movie trying to be as serious as The Wild Bunch, Easy Rider, we've got him crashing the car through the roof like the Dukes of Hazzard. It just doesn't. The outlandish stuff doesn't. The two truckers crushing the car, and that doesn't work for me in the tone.
Well, if you're asking for a new pair of pants.
Yeah. It just doesn't. I mean,
one thing I want to point out is to kind of put a little clarity on the movie, and it doesn't excuse your opinion's your own. It's wrong, but it's your own.
Listen.
The thing about Peckinpah's career at this point was he basically had to take whatever he could get.
Oh, I agree.
And when you consider this. The movie was based on a stupid little novelty song,
right?
Which came out when we were in like the second, third grade. And then you would have producers demanding and handcuffing his creativity.
Right.
So you can see that the peck and paw aspects in it.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that the over the topness, like you talked about, like the car, that was probably Smokey and the Bandit. They were doing this and Smokey and the Bandit. So
or as it always happens, we go back to James Bond. It's the stupid cop and all the James Bond movies, the sheriff who always crashes his car ridiculously.
He has to crash a car over the top of a roof.
Yeah.
So what he does, because it's demanded of him to do so, is he does what he does, which is slows it down.
All right, I'll grant you that.
Yeah. So I'm not saying.
But I'm pretty sure he got fired off this film. I don't think the final cut was his.
That's why I'm curious about the
I'd like
Japanese
to see the extent.
version.
I'd like to see his version of it because from the little bit of research I did, he got fired, and so this may not even be his vision,
his final cut.
Yeah, so we're kind of like waiting on the Blade Runner version.
Yeah, supposedly there's a Japanese extended version that is floating around somewhere.
Right.
That one day might get 4K release, because then I will own it.
Yeah.
So, but no, I wasn't trying to I was just saying that's one of the problems that he had in the last half of his career. Because he would always go over budget, he would always go over time.
Yeah.
And money doesn't like that. So money wants to basically shrink and destroy what you're doing. It's kind of like if you've ever seen the Osterman Weekend. Like, he literally could do nothing in that movie but say action. So any chance he got, he tweaked it a little bit here and there. And it's not a good movie, but that's just where his career was.
Yeah.
So he was doing what he could with what he had.
Right.
And that's part of why I love this movie so much, is that given all the elements that came into making it, it's amazing it even got made at all.
Right. Well, and he was an alcoholic by then and on drugs and other stuff. So, I can see that. I think maybe that's part of the problem, though, is you've got the suits. Oh, it's a metaphor in the movie itself.
See?
Suits, Peckinpah is the trucker. He's being forced.
Peckinpah is always who the main character is.
I know.
See, it's layers.
Layers like an onion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man. The one scene I didn't get was when they first decide to head out after they beat up the cops, and they decide they're driving through that really sandy thing for like 10 minutes. I'm like, what is going on here? That they're like, it's an hour and a half movie and they use 10 minutes of it to just drive around in the desert. I didn't get that part.
Well, it was so that it would look spectacular.
It did not look spectacular.
Well, it was supposed to be to lose cops because they couldn't see, and then right.
Yeah, I got that in the first 30 seconds. I didn't need 10 minutes of it.
Yeah. Was he trying to do like the great cowboy, films chasing him across the desert? I don't know, but yeah, that went rather long.
Nobody said head him off with the pants,
and it didn't work. By the way,
it didn't work.
It didn't even work. The cops were right there. Yeah, the cops are right there with you.
That movie was definitely a product of its time.
Yeah.
These days, you would not be able to evade the cops like that. I mean, there's just no way. There was. I just nowadays, you see the cops with their little guns and their helmets and stuff. I miss those days. I miss the days when the cops looked like cops instead of paramilitary troops.
Yeah, and even then, though, with having the advent of being able to follow them via helicopter, it was like, the new world was closing in on them, and it was a no-win situation. It's always a no-win situation in a Peckinpah movie. It's just how he tries to put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. About halfway through the movie, I was like, I don't see any scenario in which this is going to end well.
No.
Because, I mean, what the hell were these people thinking?
See, I also wonder what you just said, though. I also wonder, in most of Peckinpah's movies, everybody dies. And was Rubber Duck supposed to make it out, or was he supposed, kind of like in Vanishing Point?
Alert. Yes, I was going to ask that same question. Was that a Peckinpah decision?
I feel like it's not, but
it may very well have not been, and maybe that's why Ernest Borgnine thought it was so funny. He lives.
In true Peckinpah form, I think Pigpen should have been arrested, maybe killed a few of those kids at the ice cream truck. Just have the end be a complete tragedy.
The way it comes across to me is that they were just a bunch of stupid goobers who got themselves into a lot of trouble.
I believe some of them were.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I like your point about the progress and to keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's part of it. But
It's an interesting thing to explore, though, because I didn't quite get the got themselves into trouble part. I thought they weren't looking for trouble; it just kind of found them.
right, that's what I mean. They just, I mean,
Like
they
they were
just reacted to the injustice that they saw with the cop being a jerk, and took it way too far.
like in your
Yeah.
like not too far would have been just let them arrest the black guy.
Well, I mean, there are other ways to deal with that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah.
I think that the part where it goes wrong is when they become the antagonists. So when they, Ernest Borgnine is antagonizing them up until the diner,
Mm-hmm.
and then when he's just driving around, they're done. They've paid him off. Everything's done, and then they get on the CB and taunt him,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where they're now the aggressors. So
Right.
now they keep it going.
Right.
So Pigpen keeps it going, and they calls him fat, calls him stupid, and calls him, which riles him up, which leads to the big showdown.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think had they left it alone,
But there's always a point in a Peckinpah movie where there's the point of no return.
Well, and that's
in the final shootout when basically they Pike shoots the general,
mm-hmm.
and he looks over at Dutch.
Yeah,
and Dutch is like, "We can kill more people." Okay, and that's it. They went not to get off on a tangent.
For a second, I was like, "What movie were you watching?"
It happens.
Pike.
Well, for like a minute, they're actually good guys, and then they go back to the way they were, and that's the point of no return for these people. But in Convoy, it happens a little bit sooner. Not the finale, but it happens in the truck stop scene.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically where everything went wrong for them.
And their point is correct, though. So, and I think this is true still to today, as we all know, is that, and I think that's what they try to point out to him in the jailbreak scene with Ernest Borgnine, the fact that just because you have a badge on doesn't make your behavior correct.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so you might be the law, but you're not just.
Mm-hmm.
And so he can torment them all he wants. Bully them, take their money, make fun of them, call them names, and then later on brutalize, one of them. And that's all okay because it's under the law. But the minute the truckers turn it on them, now they have the righteous indignation. I like all that stuff. I just, whoever decided they had to have, whoever decided for the kids, or how are we going to market this movie?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to have some spectacular car crashes and the dumb where the vehicles are just totally destroyed in ways they wouldn't normally be.
And then people just get out of the car
and walk away. Yeah, I wish they had done. I wish
cars were made out of metal.
I know. I wish they hadn't done that. I wish they hadn't gone that far. I think I would have liked it better had it stayed serious.
A darker version of Convoy.
Yeah, Yeah. I mean, there still could be humor because there's definitely humor in the Wild Bunch for sure.
Oh yeah.
But Madcap.
But not me. Yeah. That's what I think ruined parts of it for me. It was hard for me to take it serious at the end because of the stuff that had happened earlier.
Does that change anything in your view of the movie, Paul?
No, it solidifies it. Makes it.
You like the madcappiness, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying Convoy is Shakespeare. It's got layers and breaks ground.
No, Shakespeare definitely was bawdy as hell, had lots and lots of dirty jokes for the masses while having all of this.
So you're saying Convoy?
Yes, Convoy is now Shakespeare. Yes,
I can no longer.
All you people out there, Damn you.
Okay, well, that about wraps it up for this. It's a campy, silly movie, but I love it for all the reasons we discussed, and for the fact that it even got made. That's one of my things with movies. Some of them are like really. Some of the movies I love are really bad, but the fact that they even managed to get made is amazing. And the fact that this was just some silly throwaway novelty song by a guy who doesn't even actually exist. And CW, this song and his entire album was a number of people. They just had a front person posing as CW.
Yeah. Sort of like industry plants are today.
Mm-hmm.
Has there ever been? Are there other movies that you guys know of that were written based on songs? I guess Staying Alive, or not Staying Alive. What was the
Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever?
But I mean, this wasn't the song written for.
This was
just a song, and they made a movie out of it. Well, Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, really
became a movie later. Hard Day's Night became a movie. The Beatles always did it.
A lot of Beatles
did it.
So you're saying Convoy is like the Beatles then too? So it's like Shakespeare and the Beatles.
I'm not saying any of that.
Wait, no, you can't recant that, man. You said Convoy was Shakespeare.
I said that I hate you. And I must concede partially that it is trying to be Shakespeare.
Amen.
I'm trying to be Shakespeare.
Small victory.
I'll give you trying to be Shakespeare.
Man, I do wish Kanye hadn't gone off the deep end.
Yeah,
I want to see that sequel.
Yeah.
Kanye. It's yay now.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think we learned a lot from this.
What did we learn, Charlie Brown?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That truckers are a bunch of do no wrong Robin Hoods who can do whatever the hell they want,
right,
with no consequences.
Yep.
And the cops are a bunch of dullards who are racist and they're always wrong, and whatever they do is wrong, and they should be punished for it.
I think part of what biased me against watching it now. I mean, I loved it as a kid. Don't get me, I loved Convoy as a kid. But I think what sours it a bit for me now is that as I'm watching it, I'm imagining MAGA hats on everybody. Who these guys would be now.
Yeah.
And they're not right. They're not this sort of idealistic view.
Right.
Well, maybe like all movements, it eventually becomes the status quo, and when it becomes the status quo,
it becomes itself evil.
Yeah.
It becomes what it revolted against in the beginning. Yeah,
levels.
And it's hard to watch stuff from before without having that just weighing on you.
So it's not the movie; it's the world you live in that you hate.
Well, that's a whole other show. That's a whole other show. I think it's on your other show. I gotta get on your show.
We'll get you on our show one day.
Well, like Rambo, like when you watch Rambo now, it's really interesting to watch a veteran walking through a small town, being ridiculed, made fun of, asked to leave, and then having the cops haul him in and mistreat him. Because you're like, that would never happen to a veteran now.
Right.
You see how Convoy has sparked all this debate.
This is the Paul defending Convoy episode.
No, I'm
defending. You're right. But are you ever going to watch this movie again? That's my question. That's what defines a good movie. Would you ever want to watch this again if it weren't for Paul?
Sure.
That's shaming us all.
Am I going to go out and buy the DVD and watch it again? Probably not. I might if it's on TV.
And Blu-ray or VHS. I'm gonna get,
or whatever you do, whatever you guys do, don't come to my house on the 7th of June every year.
I guess for me, it would be if I want to watch a movie about a group of rebels who are in a dying world against things that they are. I'm going to go watch The Wild Bunch.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Star Wars.
No, I'm going to watch The Wild Bunch. No, I'm going to watch The Wild Bunch.
Oh, we're saving that one.
No, I know. I'd rather watch. And I think, and again, here's my other bias. I don't like Ernest Borgnine being the bad guy, even though he's a bad guy in a lot of cases. I like my Ernest Borgnine to be
like the lovable Tova.
I want lovable Tova hugging, Turduncan making Ernest Borgnine.
A good chunk of his movies, he's not
I know,
the hero.
I know he's not the hero. And I struggle with that greatly.
Oh, okay.
It's funny how our perception of things change, because I remember my mom telling me, not to mention my mom again, but
Christmas Carol.
that when she grew up, which was like the 50s, the truckers were seen as kind of like the knights of the highway. You know, like they would stop and help, you know, with a flat tire or whatever. And then this, what you see in this movie was a bit different. I mean, they're more like they went from knights to Robin Hoods. And you know, now I don't know what I would say they would what I would do.
Now they're Maximum Overdrive and The Hitcher and the serial killers.
A lot of
They're
serial killers. A lot of serial killers.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the question begs, on a scale of Borg 1 to Borg 9, how would you rate this movie, Mike?
Me first? I would rate it Borg 3.
Okay.
I give it a Borg 8.
Wow.
No pressure.
I know. For my own watchability, I'd say it's a Borg 4. But I think I will defer to some of your broader points of there's some greatness in it, but I don't know if I'd ever watch
So
it.
you're higher than me?
Only by one.
I mean, I thought it was a fun movie. I didn't mean to say that it sucked or anything.
No, I wouldn't say Borg 3 is sucking. Borg 1 would be sucking.
Okay.
So you heard it here, kids. Mark thinks Shakespeare Borg 4. I'm, of course, giving it a Borg 9 because it's the greatest movie in American cinema. So on that note, this just like at the beginning,
Yeah.
just like at the beginning, I'm Paul.
I'm Mark.
I'm Mike.
I'm Steve.
And always remember the importance of being earnest.